afternoon. My name is Joe Cashwell with Rotorcraft RC. Rotorcraft RC is a custom charge case building company here in Orlando, Florida. What we do is we build custom specialized charge cases for the RC industry. We also have some production cases coming out. We'll be doing some more videos on those really soon. So please subscribe so you get our latest videos whenever we let them out. We're doing this case here for James. James has been a customer of ours for several years. He buys helicopter parts from us, and he's also, this will be a second charge case that we built for him. He has like one of our first generation charge cases, still uses it every week, but we've gotten so many neat new goodies and so many ideas. You know, these guys, I love y'all, but y'all sit there and watch the videos and look at the pictures, and I know you get ideas whirling around in your head. So this is V2 for James, and we really appreciate him giving us return business. He pretty much wants everything that we could possibly do in a case. There's a couple things that we have not done in a case before that we will be doing in this case. And we'll be doing some more videos as we do along with the build, and what we're going to do is stitch them together and make much of a mega build video. But we're at a stopping point now to where all the accessories are in here. About 90% of the wiring is done. Chris is working on the upper logos, the acrylics right now. He's got the acrylic dyes on them, and they're really looking good. I'm really happy the way it's going to come out. So some of the things that we did on this case is what you've seen us do on past cases: the USB, the mooch plugs, the servo test ports. We used the Ninja wraps. Once again, Joe and Travis Reyes did a fantastic job from Team Ninja making the wraps for us. We did a piece of acrylic with one of our phrases for our logo. Everybody loves the storage. We did the stainless hinge with the touch latch. That's always a big hit. We did put the 92mm programmable fans in here with our new RC Square acrylic. This is actually going to be our RC Square logo, and we're really excited about everything. We're doing a Bible verse up in the upper lid, and this will be actually our first case we've ever done a Bible verse. But because of clashes between the upper deck and the bottom deck, we put the modular para boards in here. Chris had to come up with a new file to undermount everything to get all this stuff another ½ an inch lower than what it is.
Acts 1:8. But ye shall receive power, keyword power. After that the Holy Ghost is come upon you, and ye shall be witnesses unto me both in Jerusalem and all of Judea, and in Samaria, and unto the uttermost parts of the earth. Acts 1:8.
So you can see the highlight colors inside the upper, and you can see the detail that is in the paper. Now we'll let you see what the inside looks like. It's going to be a little bit bright for the camera, but it should adjust. And for the larger plaque, you can see we did high volume LEDs. There's a lot of LEDs in there. And then for the smaller plaques, we didn't use as many. And all we're trying to do is get everything to look the same from the front.
Now there's a lot of work to get to where we're at now. On this case, because James is a friend of ours, he went ahead and let my 4-year-old Jacob work with us. Jacob got the nuts and the retaining rings off the banana jacks, got them put in the deck for us, helped us prep a lot of stuff in this deck. We really enjoyed having Jacob work with us, and as you can see, he has done this before. Then Ethan, he's the king of the heat shrink. He cuts all the heat shrink for me, and on cases like this where there's a lot of heat shrink, and I'll just lay it down and he puts it all on for me. He's really good about what he does. He's very clean about his work. He's a little particular, just like Dad. He might even go just a little bit further than I do. But I love these boys to death, and I love working with them. I'll remember this case forever. Now let's take a look at the inside of the case. Oh, boy, isn't that beautiful. It's a work of art. Mounting brackets in, Chris did all the CNCing for that. It's custom. Let's flip this over and get a good look at the wiring system now. Everything is clean. Nothing is under the chargers. The 4 modular pair of boards are undermounted. Man, when you start looking at this, you can tell we really take pride in what we do. The balance connectors are soldered directly on. The heat shrink for the modular pair of boards that you saw Ethan do, we're really particular. We really like building these cases, and it shows. Now this is a first for Rotorcraft RC. What we did is we built a mounting plate to go inside the case with a pilot hole for a tripod to mount to. This is the alignment hole that the CNC machine cut while it was cutting. And then what we're going to do is we're going to mount the plate, drill all the way through the case. And let's watch what the CNC looks like. This is a time lapse from Chris's phone. And then I have my phone where we can walk around and video everything. So this is actually sped up just a little bit. It's a 3-hour and 45-minute cut, and it's about 2 minutes worth of time-lapse video. It's actually really neat to watch. It's watching the machine cut for a long time is really cool, but you get really bored really fast. Did I say really too many times? So what we're going to do is we're going to slow it down, and we're going to come out of time-lapse to where you can actually see how fast the machine is actually cutting. Now this is T6 6061 aluminum at 3/8 thick, and that's a carbide bit cut bit. We do use a lubricant to keep the bit cool, but let's go back to time-lapse and speed this up a little bit. What Chris did is he actually put some relief holes in there to make the case a little bit lighter, and this also helps with expansion and contraction. So we had a couple little plates that we needed to make, so we went ahead and threw it in on this job. This is pretty cool to watch. Now we get to drill and tap the aluminum. We're going to slow down the bit so you can see everything flinging off. But now after we have everything drilled, we put some oil on the tap and we tap out the holes. And this is going to be for a 1/4-20 bolt, which is a mounting plate bolt for a tripod. And it just also happens to be these stainless fasteners we use. So let's clean that oil off there. We're going to try out the mounting bracket for the tripod. That looks fantastic. Now all this is going into a Nanook 945 case. And if you look at the 945, it does have latches on the side. So this is a little bit bigger than the 940 that we normally use. This is going to be a big heavy duty case. I'm not sure if Nanook is going to be really tickled with what we're about to do to the case. But we're going to put a 4.5-inch hole in the bottom of this case. And what this is going to do is allow for a mounting plate for the tripod. Nice. So now that we have our aluminum plate all drilled and tapped, we use that as an alignment guide to make these holes. So we're going to size these to where our hardware fits flush with the bottom of the case. We're going to take a 1/4-inch drill bit, seeing as we're using 1/4-20 stainless bolts, and we're going to size the hole. Then we have a specialized countersink that has the same pitch as the top of the bolts. And we'll go ahead and sometimes it takes once or twice to get it cleaned out, but what we'll do is we'll get it to where those bolts sit flush on the bottom of the case. That way if James ever puts the case on a table or slides it or anything, these bolts won't hook anything. They'll be flush with the bottom of the case.
So now that we've got the aluminum plate drilled and tapped, we've got the case drilled, all the countersinking done. Now what we have to do is take the stainless fasteners and make everything one unit. What we're actually going to do is where we drilled the 4.5-inch hole on the bottom of the case, we're going to run shoe goo. I know you're going to love this one, Dan. But anyways, what we do is this is adhesive. It sticks to, it's very tenacious. It sticks to almost anything. And because we have dissimilar materials, which is aluminum and plastic, the expansion and contraction between the two is going to be the bottom of the case. We're going to come in with our denatured alcohol once again and clean the bottom of the case. We're going to run a nice bead of shoe goo right around this hole right here and around each one of these. We're going to lay the lid back or the plate back down,
And then we'll take our stainless quarter 20 fasteners and we'll run them into the threading. And because the pitch on our countersink and the pitch on the bottom of our screws are matching, when these come in, that plate will seat in one position and it'll be good to go. And then our center hole, we won't be doing anything because that's where our tripod mounts. So now we've got all the screws started, and then we can go ahead and snug them down. Now we ran like a 1/4 inch bead, about the size of a number 2 pencil, around inside this plate with the shoe goo. And we're going to tighten these ones down first. And what that's going to do is that's going to spread out that shoe goo before it tacks too much. And you can actually see some of it squeezing out the holes here. So then we'll get the corners tightened up. And if you notice, these are flushing up really nice with the bottom of the case because we use that countersink. Man, it really gives a professional job. When James throws this down on the table, you know, there's no way that he can damage the hardware or the plate because everything's flush. So now you realize how much time is actually involved in making the plate. 3 hours and 45 minutes of cut time. Chris still had to design it before we cut it. Then he has to clean it all off. When you CNC it out, you can't CNC through the entire 3/8 of the plate or else that centerpiece would start flopping around. So when you clamp the plate down, when you CNC around the outside perimeter of the plate, you leave just a little bit of webbing on there. Now, it doesn't really hurt nothing. It keeps that piece from moving, but then Chris has to fight with this thing at the end of the build to get it out. So then you get that out, then you got to deburr it and clean it all up and sand all the sharp edges off it, because if a customer ever puts their hand in there, you don't want them hurt. So this is a deck with no accessories or product in it. I'm going to show you the underneath so you can see all the meticulous cutting that's done by the machine. Then we take the modular pair boards and we take the plugs off and we solder everything direct, clean everything up, make everything flawless, 0 issues. Then the flush mount from under, that was work. And then we get everything all lined up and ready to go. As you can see, Jacob is mesmerized by watching the deck. And yes, safety first, always wear safety glasses. So as you can see, we don't have any time lapse, we haven't sped it up or slowed it down. This is the actual speed of the machine cutting deck material. Now it takes about 35-40 minutes, depends on the complexity of the deck. And then we prep it, and then that's when we start adding everything. So now we're going to take denatured alcohol and clean the area that the power supply is going to sit. And we just have a bottle of it, we squirt it on a rag, clean it up. And then we take the 3M adhesive primer and we put it on the bottom of the power supply and on the metal plate. And all this is this just preps the material for the adhesive to stick to it. And boy does it stick to it. So I've already done the plate. I'm going to go ahead and just show you where I put it. I put little blue dots on the plate when I had the power supply in there, so I know the outside perimeter of the power supply. This gives me the ability to put the tape down where I need it to sit. That way when the power supply sits on it, everything matches up and lines up. After you've done a couple hundred cases, you'll learn how to do it. Now the bolts that are on here, there's a couple that protrude, but the top one we actually put a shorter bolt in so it does not conflict with the power supply when we set it down. Now this really works out good, and we'll show you what it looks like when we get it all put in here. Now the power supply will be covering the top hole, but we don't care because the bolt comes in from the bottom. Now that we have the power supply mounted, we run 120 volts in from the rear IEC. Normally we don't put the IECs in the back of the case, but since this one has a 4.5-inch hole in the bottom, we really didn't think it mattered much. We sealed it up real good, got the wires run, everything is looking really clean. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put the top deck in to verify that nothing hits. Because this is the Nanook 945, it is a fairly good sized case. We knew we wouldn't have any instances of anything hitting from the top deck to the bottom. But we still do look through the vents with a flashlight and just verify, just to be safe. Now we're going to go ahead and show you some of the pre-wiring that we've already done. These are the servo test ports. These are the USB ports that plug right into the back of the charger, where you can update the charger without pulling it out of the case. And then we have the cables that run at 24 volts in. Everything comes over in junctions to the banana jacks. Then the 2 wires you see running out the top will go to the power supply. Now we're going to go ahead and set the voltage on the step-down converters. This is the input side, which would be 24 volts out of the mean well, and then this will be the output side. What we want on the output side is to get to 12 volts. So we're going to take our bench power supply and put 24 volts into it. And what we need is the LED to light up on the output side so we know what the output is. Right now we're at 22.3 volts and we need to get that down to about 13.5 volts. I like 13.5 volts on the 92mm digital fans, the programmable ones. They work very well with 13.5. So once we get to our desired voltage, just for the heck of it, we're going to touch the button and make sure the input's still 24.6 and our output is 13.5. It's a good day.
Now that we've got James's case into a point where it's ready to ship, we've got all our testing done. Now we're just going to show you a couple of the extras that we put in this case. Now this is a Dean's to an EC5, and we sell these cables. And basically, so he can charge his LiPos off of a Dean's connector to an EC5. He can plug in banana jacks to an EC5. And then he can actually have long extensions off of either one instead of trying to cram everything up on the deck. And we also have the balance connector extensions also from 2S all the way up to 10S. So you can plug this right in and plug the LiPo in right on the bottom. So when James is at the field, if he doesn't want to lay anything on the deck, he has the ability to lay it on the table beside him. But with this case right here, one of the things that we went to the big 945 cases is to have a little bit more deck area. Because one of the things that this case can do is mount on the tripod.
This is the reinforcing plate that is inside the case.
So in the first part of the video you saw us making that aluminum plate and mounting it into the bottom of the case. Now we're going to show you why we made this case. And I've got a guest star here to help us show what this thing can do. No, you're not the guest superstar to help me. Who is here? Y'all know Kyle Cashwell, my oldest son. Y'all met the little ones in the video. This is Kyle. Kyle's coming by to help us do a little bit of information on the tripod and help me put the tripod on the case or the case on the tripod or something.
So one of the features James wanted was he wanted to be able to mount his case on a tripod. We're going to show you how we did that today. As you can see, there's a plate down here that we installed. Take the top piece of your tripod, go ahead and plug it in there. Plug it in, screw it in. Get it nice and tight. And then we have a tripod. So we're going to tell you a little about the tripod today. This tripod right here is carbon fiber. We also sell another version of this in aluminum, but we ended up going with this one because the case is pretty hefty, so we want to be able to support that extra weight, so we went with the carbon fiber one. Super light, very appealing to the eye. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and install this guy. Pop it right on there. down. Go pick this guy up. All 5,000 pounds of this.
But you're so big.
Here it is, in its glory. Turned on, powered up, ready to go.
So in short, we'd like to thank James Cadiz for ordering a second case, and I can't wait to see what he wants for a third case. And anyways, James, I had to talk Kyle into coming in and doing a little bit of weekend videoing. You know, James has been great to us. Kyle sold him a case a year and a half ago. He still has the case. He loves it. Kyle sold him several kits. He calls us all the time just to talk. I mean, James has really become part of our family, and I hope when the little ones get older, they get the same relationship with James and customers like James that we have, that we just feel a part of the family. We hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube page. We have a Instagram page, Rotorcraft. We have a Facebook page, Rotorcraft RC, 3 different words. And then, of course, the YouTube. Jacob, Ethan, did you like working on James's case?
Yes.
Ah, cool.
Love James.
This has been a Rotorcraft RC production. www.rotorcraftrc.com.